I took notes.
I did not, because I did not care about either of these people.
It's so forgettable. I was like, if I don't write something down, I'm not going to remember anything.
I have one one scene that I think would have they could have changed to make this movie 5 stars, but we'll get to it. Uh, Riding headfirst into love. Welcome to I Be Suffer.
Oh, it's such a good tagline too. Like
Look,
I
hear
saw
me out.
that.
Is it?
It is.
It was me.
Think of it
It's
this
a
way,
horse
kid.
ranch.
It's a horse ranch, and they're lesbians.
There could have been a lot more writing.
Yes.
That's true.
I'll just get to it now. The scene where they're in her little trailer and they're about to eat the deer stew,
So
and she's like,
disappointing.
"You want a taste?" And there wasn't a
I-
25-minute scene where they eat each other out. Come on.
Okay, well I wasn't gonna go that far.
Missed
I was,
opportunity.
I was gonna say like I was expecting of course one of the lesbians is named Kate. Can we be more original here? When she was like
Haleye.
I don't even want to talk about that ever. And she was like, "Do you want to taste your Peepaw's deer stew recipe?" And Kate didn't feed it to her. Excuse me. I was like, that's when I knew. I was like, absolutely, this is trash.
We went in two very different directions.
That's why I said I wasn't gonna go that far. But you're not even gonna spoon feed it to her. She's cold. She's shivering.
I just want.
Are you kidding?
One person that makes these Christmas movies just all of a sudden one year not tell anybody, they just drop it on like Netflix or whatever, and there's just like the most erotic sex
I was
scene
gonna say
right
it's
in the
erotic.
middle of it out of nowhere. Everyone was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, I was flabbergasted because at the end of this movie, I was like, this feels like a movie that a straight person wrote and was like, oh, the gays will love this because it's like so devoid of like feeling and like any kind of authenticity in the like relationship or whatever. And then I looked up to the director and apparently like
All she makes is like queer.
Yeah, content for, by, and about lesbians. And I was like, where?
Yeah, but you
where
got
was lesbian?
I have to assume so this isn't. I don't know if this aired on Hallmark or Lifetime, but it's not produced by them.
Oh no, yeah.
And so I can only assume there's specific standards all of these movies have to have where because that's so okay. So we're talking about Christmas at the Ranch from 2021. And the idea was
did you even say that yet?
No, I didn't.
We like to keep him guessing for
also,
20 minutes.
Lindsey Turnbull is back because if we're
Hello.
going to talk about one of these movies.
Yeah.
Hello.
I have to assume that all of these movies, my idea was okay, we talked about for a couple years, hey, we should do one of these shitty Hallmark Lifetime Christmas movies. And this year, I was talking to Katie about it, I was like, I'm fucking tired of Christmas horror movies. They're all trash. Let's do something different. So Katie and I were we were looking through movies, and I was we were trying very specifically to find one that was queer in some way. And most of the ones that were two gay men were either not streaming for free anywhere or unavailable. And I came across this, I was like, all right, this seems fine. They're all going to be the same exact plot, so it's who really cares? But I have to assume that all of them probably, I feel like a lot of the gay ones too probably have much stricter rules to go by to not offend the straights on Hallmark and shit. Mm-hmm. And so this just this literally felt like the cliche of every one of these movies that I see online, but they just happen to have a lesbian couple, but they don't really treat them like they are. They're just they feel like
you'd
they
never
just
guess they're a couple.
Somebody had a script for this movie that was just a woman from Silicon Valley and like some rancher dude, and they're just like, well, if we just made the rancher dude a woman, and that's it.
Yeah, that's exactly what
Yeah.
well, and it feels like even less romantic than that,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
That was my biggest takeaways. I was like, there's like no romance in this movie until the last 2 minutes.
The most romance is whatever the CEO is like excitedly talking about the crab tweet.
Or broke
He's
my
so
back.
excited about that social media person
I
tweeting
think
about crabs.
I won't lie. I did laugh out loud when he was just like, like Brokeback Mountain, and she's like, "Have you seen that movie?" And he's like, "Yeah, like the first hour."
The first half.
Some rough and tumble dudes like out in the wilderness.
Becoming best friends, which is not incorrect.
All right.
But I laughed out loud also.
So I guess
Okay.
more than anything, I want to hear Lindsay and Katie's thoughts as people that watched these movies during the holidays.
Be my
So
guest, Lindsay.
I did kind of like actually that it was a movie with lesbians and the whole thing wasn't like, but they're lesbians. Like I did appreciate that because sometimes the movies make like a big deal if someone is queer, that it's like that's the extent of their personality.
Mhm.
On the downside, none of these people had any personality at
Yeah.
all. So, literally any kind of personality would have been an improvement.
I guess like more than anything, I feel like this could have just been like campier and like
Yeah.
a little more fun because it is like there's the one scene in the middle where they're in the camper where they're like kind of like warming up to each other, but I feel like every other scene they're together, they actively seem to be so annoyed by each other until literally the last like 5 minutes of the movie, and I was just like, okay, well, I don't care
They've
about
got
any of this.
They've got anti-chemistry. Like,
Yes.
So, yes, my main. So okay. You were saying, like who knows how many movies that the Christmas whatever movies we've seen between each other. I will say, like, number one, I did like that the plot was a little bit different. Like, obviously they're all kind of like an iteration of the same thing, but I like the idea of like the family ranch. We're gonna have to sell it, Meemaw, whatever. I think the big problem for me is that I think that like because there's always different dynamics between like the two love interests, and then this one, it's like it doesn't make any sense because so the main characters. I just also want to say on IMDb or Letterboxd, I mean, they spell her name Haley.
Yeah,
so
I'm wondering if it was just
maybe
somebody
that
doing
was
the
subtitle thing.
the subtitles, but either way, every time it popped up, I was like, "Fuck you, movie."
Yeah, and I hope they fired that person because whatever the fuck, that's not a thing.
Hall-eye.
Hall-eye, yeah. The two main characters are Haley and Kate. Okay, it's Haley's family that owns the quote-unquote ranch. There's like 3 horses on it, if you could call it a ranch, and like pigs. And Kate is the farmhand. And Kate, in the beginning of the movie, says that she has never met Haley. So there's this like they're trying to do kind of like not like enemies to lovers, but like the grumpy, like they don't like each other and then they're gonna fall in love, which, like, don't get me wrong, I will eat that up if it's done correctly. It's not done correctly in this because they've never met. There's literally no reason for the animosity that they find between each other when they realize who each other is. Like there's no reason for it. So them just being like blah, like at each other's throats immediately makes no fucking sense. Yeah, and then it's like the ending also makes no sense. Well, we can get to it, but that's my main problem.
It made no sense. And like, okay, so first of all, why is Kate like, she's like, oh, doesn't Haley know how much this is affecting her mother and brother? And I was like, why the fuck do you care?
Yeah, you don't have to care about the family. I will say the brother is was in CSI, and he was like Chris and I's favorite character in CSI. He played this like the digital forensic guy, you know, so he could like enhance sound and they could figure out whatever. And he wasn't in like every episode. He was like one of the side characters that would just like pop in and out. But every single time he would show up, I was like, Archie. because he just like disappears from CSI without them ever saying anything. So I will be calling him Archie in this movie because I was so excited to see him. But I texted Chris and I was like, oh my God, Archie's in this gay Christmas movie. And he was like, oh, is he the love interest? And I was like, no, he's a brother. It's lesbians. But now I want to see like hit me up, Archie. Let's write a script.
He like him and Lindsey Wagner were like the only two in this that I thought were like relatively good actors. Like the two.
Wait. Lindsey Wagner?
That was
she was Meemaw.
You know I'm named after her?
Well,
okay, so cute story. I asked my mom why she named me, and she's like, oh, you're named after Lindsey Wagner, the Bionic Woman. Yeah. And I looked it up, and I was like, well, her name is A-Y. Mine is E-Y. And my mom gets like really serious, and she goes, I don't like A.
Wow.
I was like, all right, Mom, thanks.
I like that, like, her career is half, like, these incredible looking, like, serious dramas, and then half this shit.
Yeah.
Balance.
Yeah, we should have watched The Thanksgiving House. This looks terrible. Watch the Thanksgiving movie for Christmas.
Okay, so one thing I have to tell you, though, there was a scene in the movie when Haley walks in on Meemaw or whatever, and she's like, are you eating bacon for lunch? And acts like it's this absurd thing. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, maybe that's left over from breakfast and it's a snack. Like, why do you care?
Well, also, it's because she's a big Silicon Valley person. She's probably just eating tofu and sprouts.
No, it's the avocado toast. Okay, so I will say, like, nobody's acting in this movie necessarily bothered me because, like,
I thought you were going to stop after nobody's acting in this movie.
Well,
just the horses.
I did like the horses, of course. Because I've seen, obviously, like, compared to some of the other, like, actual Hallmark or, like, aired on TV movies, like, including one that I actually watched yesterday that was called The Christmas Detective. That was terrible. The acting was, like,
title,
very
though.
Whatever. It was a very good title. I felt like unsurprisingly, the script was an issue. Like, the bacon thing was a perfect example of something I wrote down of just like, why? What, and why? Like, I don't understand. So I feel like the script was also like a weird, situation.
Little I've ever seen of like any of these movies, it all feels like, because there's so much of this shit pumped out in a year, where it's like, I think like Hallmark releases like 80 of these things in a year, which means they're just shooting all year until like November and December or whatever. That like, I have to assume all of this shit is like there's no way there's any sort of refinement for scripts. It's got to be a very much a like, good enough, put these actors in there, let's go. Because like, I know at least when Misty Talley was on here, she said that like doing Christmas movies for like Hallmark and Lifetime and then Sci-Fi Channel movies essentially is like a 2-week process.
Yeah.
And
I believe that.
Like there's no way, and like, you know, it's like, I'm not saying it in like a bad way because obviously it's working for them. Like, you know, people watch the shit out of these movies. This is like their fucking time of the year, and like
they got us watching them.
Yeah, like it's got to literally just be like, yep, good enough, go, sort of thing.
Yeah. And I have to assume that at this point there's a lot of like AI script.
Oh no, that's definitely gonna.
I'm sure that's the thing happening.
I'll be interested because I feel like their model seems so specific that I wonder if they'll try that or not. Like, I have to assume...
I think they will. They're doing it with like smut books now.
Just type in Hallmark Christmas movie and I'm sure it'll write you this exact same movie again.
It's one of those things that like, I have to assume somebody at these companies, like Hallmark and Lifetime specifically, is like, yeah, people really don't like this AI shit, and like, this, I can't imagine this is costing them that much money to just like plug in 2 characters into the same fucking story every year.
Hallmark's the only company dedicated to authenticity of the craft.
Yeah.
Yeah. They originated slop, okay?
It's true.
They don't need AI.
All right.
Also, like, okay, can I just tell you my favorite character? Okay, first of all, actually, they didn't even have a meet cute.
No.
Like,
well,
they meet on Tinder. It's not even like, or whatever,
yeah.
Yeah.
lesbian, rural, nowhere Tinder.
Yeah.
And like, okay, but before that, Haley goes on a date with like who I felt like was the quintessential like bisexual stereotype.
Yeah, we stand
And-
basically.
Incredible.
Masonry,
The queen.
best character. Yes.
Yes, and she had a headband from clearly 2010. But I also like that she came back.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was so excited.
And
I was
also seems like she's
shocked.
very down for the brother.
Yes, that
Oh
was.
yeah, definitely. He's got.
They were
great
like,
energy.
just in case you thought she was like gay, she's not. She's bi.
We've
She's-
got the
she's-
representation.
She's just here
here.
floating
Yeah.
through the world, seeing what
She is.
sticks.
She's actually, yeah, maybe not even bi. Maybe she's,
I feel like her and and Haley's boss are the two most interesting characters in
Yes.
this movie, and you spend no time with either of them.
The
Yeah.
only
Haley's
time I
boss,
felt
he was
anything.
like, "Yeah, bro, NFTs, like that guy."
oh
yeah,
my
he
god.
was like, "I've been hearing a lot about these NFTs. We should check into this." And I was like, "Hell yeah!" Get
I'm
those
not gonna
apes,
lie,
bro.
I almost turned it off at the NFT thing. I was like, I don't need to know this.
Yeah, I was not thrilled
I mean,
about the NFTs.
if anyone's going to be interested in them, it was that guy, the guy
Yeah.
that
That's
watched
true,
the first half of Brokeback Mountain, and was like,
He-
"Hell yeah!"
He won me back with crabs.
Yeah, he loved that. He seems like a actually very good boss compared to like he's a little tech bro, right? But he seems like super supportive of Haley and is like wanting to do a good job and like make sure his employees are taken care of,
He
right?
should
As
marry
opposed
Twitter.
to yes, as opposed to like almost every single other Hallmark movie where if like the main character is not the executive or whatever going to a small town, it's usually them having like the worst boss imaginable. So that was refreshing. I also love that they don't really technically tell us like what the company is doing and how much the company is being sold for, that she could just flat out retire
Yeah.
at like
I mean, that's just
30.
that's literally just like that's the one thing that like kind of makes me lean towards I don't know if they'll use AI or not, is like there's no specifics. They don't need it. Like it works totally fine without it, and you could literally just be like, she works at internet business, the end.
That's like essentially what she says.
Yeah. And like it's just they just move along. Like I don't like I hate it, but I also understand the idea of why some of these studios are like, hey, how about use AI? Because it'll just like make us an outline. And like essentially all of these movies are already making just the outline. So
Yeah.
like they don't need to go that one step further. Like I feel like all of these are literally like big girl from the city going back to hometown. The end.
So yeah, I mean pretty much. The other thing that I love about this is that they kept like referring to her as like a city girl. And they're like, oh, city girl, this, that. And I'm like, she's like from there though. Like she's not from the city,
I
but
assume
Right.
okay.
Every fucking movie that has to deal with anybody on a farm that like goes to a city, like just no matter how
Like,
many
you've
times
forgotten everything.
how many times they go back, they're just like a city girl.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I saw her
Okay,
try to
let's-
get on that horse. She's a city girl.
She's wearing, yeah, maybe, sure.
Very convenient that these two wear seems to be the exact same size clothes.
Somehow, yeah.
they
the
both
whole-
seem to fit very well on both of them.
I'm also confused about where the cottage is, because if the cottage is close enough to the house that she was gonna like thinking that she was gonna stay in the cottage, but then like she gets snow drifted for no reason, like I don't know. Okay, any just overall final, I'll get into it.
Bad.
If no.
The end.
Yeah. I mean,
Bad.
I think the problem, this was just kind of like a paper plate movie. Like, I don't have strong feelings on it either way. It had potential that it did not live up to because they're just not willing to lean into it, I guess.
So I'm saying,
They could
one-
have sensually brushed a horse together. They could have done a tumble in the hay. Like, they didn't do anything. This was like the driest romance ever.
Yeah,
I'm surprised they kissed at the end, to be honest with you.
I guess I was expecting it to have like more than 2 minutes of like them actually liking each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I didn't really understand, like, okay, so I thought when they did the hayride,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, this is the part where they like each other. Like, they keep doing like a little montage of like Haley smiling and like Kate was, and then that was not it.
No.
Yeah, it literally could have been like maybe they like realize they do like each other and then she has to go back. And that's where their fight is she has to go back to the city and like that's when they're like having their sort of like tense moment or whatever.
That's why the presentation part, because like there's always that hook in these where the driving factor of like the reason that the woman is like not with her family is because she has this like high powerful like demanding job or whatever. And so normally that is the thing where she's like, oh, I have to take off a few days for a family emergency, but I have to come back or whatever. But again, her boss is so chill. She's like, I'm going to go to my ranch. And he's like, okay, cool. Can you just like send me the presentation tomorrow? And she's like, yeah. He doesn't give a shit if she comes back or not. So she didn't have to do that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever.
Yeah, it's weird.
Okay.
It was weird. And also, like, gosh, okay, hold on. I gotta reference the notes because I was very, oh, and Kate is so fucking judgmental.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
when they're at the bar and Haley gets
Awful.
a call and she's like, I have to take this. And she's like, it's an emergency. And then it turns out to be a social media emergency. And Kate's like, that's not a real emergency. And it's like, but this is her job. Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter
It's her
that you
job,
think it's
yeah.
stupid. Like, this is how she makes her living. Granted, she probably should have just said work emergency.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was her bad.
That was her bad. But also, like, Kate, girl, chill out.
I feel like
If Kate got a call and was like, sorry, I've got a horse emergency.
Yeah.
That sounds just as fucking stupid.
like
And also,
like,
they don't know each other. They just met.
Right.
I understand that like social media is a big part of this shit, but I still would have laughed at her. I would have been like, for real?
I mean, she really should have just said work emergency. But yeah.
I would have been like, I get it, but also your job sounds terrible.
Oh, sorry, you guys. I have to go because I need to go post on Blue Sky.
Yeah.
So see ya.
Elon Musk is buying our website. We gotta leave.
That's right. Okay, so Christmas on the ranch. This doesn't even take like they're not. It's not even okay. Whatever.
Most of it's not Christmas.
No. The beginning of it is basically to show the difference between the two like women's lives. So one of them is just like being peaceful on the ranch, which we know is Kate. She's like brushing a horse, sipping a coffee, glancing into the mountains, you know, amazing. Then the other one is like
girly things.
exactly. The other one is stress texting in the city, of course.
Strexting.
There you go. Exactly. So this is Haley, and she is basically the way that you know that she is like super busy at work and powerful is that she is firing somebody on her cell phone as she's like going up to her office. The reason being that so this is why I'm confused, because I think that the company runs social media for other companies, ? But it's their social media person that accidentally texted from the company's account or tweeted. Did they specifically say Twitter? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Either way, they
just said
posted from the company's account saying that he got crabs from a restaurant.
Well, yeah, there's no way they said Twitter solely because they also don't say Snapchat. They say Snapback. So I have to assume this is general
Twitter.
social media. Yeah.
I also don't understand the followers if they're saying that it's Snapchat.
I mean, that's Snapchat's a big thing in like sex work, like online sex work stuff.
Okay, that's
and so like
fair.
I believe you could just count like the like the just whoever follows you as followers or whatever, like whoever you're friends with on there as followers, I guess.
And so she's firing this person over the phone, right? So then she goes up to talk to her boss, and like I don't understand the assistant being in this movie at all, because she stops Haley from going into the boss's office and is like, just so you know, I know the tea about the tweet, and it's that he did get crabs, but not from that restaurant. Just so you know. Like, who? Okay. What does that mean? Why are we spending so much time on this girl looking at her phone?
Yeah,
it was very weird.
Also, like, if you got crabs from a restaurant, like, I get what the joke is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're like, oh, he got crabs, but not at that restaurant, isn't the implication just that he ate crabs, like, somewhere else? Because, like, why would you be getting crabs from a like, that's so weird. Like, I guess we're supposed to assume he's just, like, hooking up with someone in the bathroom.
Yeah,
the more
I think so.
The more I'm thinking about this, the more I'm thinking this movie was written by AI.
That's what I'm saying.
Even though it was 2021. I guess technically AI existed, but
this whole opening scene was the thing that made me really question what was going on here with this assistant. Because then, like, after she, like, leaves to go to the ranch, she's like, okay, thanks, Julia, or whatever the fuck the assistant's name was. And then the shot just, like, lingers on her phone. And I was like, why is this here? I was confused. Anyways, who the fuck knows? But she goes in and tells the boss that the guy who tweeted her about the crabs, regardless, is fired. He was like, oh, that's too bad. I thought it was hilarious. Great. He also fist bumps her. Yeah, boss is talking about NFTs. Woof. I don't know if I misheard this, but I wrote that he was saying that there was grocery stores interested in buying the company, which is maybe why I was even more confused about what was going on here. But he essentially says, like, I need you to make a presentation about to, like, show these investor guys I'm going to take them on a retreat. And she's like, oh, great. Sounds awesome. Yeah, I'll do that. And he's, again, like I said, really supportive. He's like, you're the only one that can do this. Also, you have shares in the company. So if we sell the company, you're going to get a lot of money.
I need to know,
like,
how much this company was sold for.
That's the thing. That's what I want to know, too.
I mean, it has to be, like, at least, at minimum, double-digit millions. For her, like,
right.
For her alone getting that, to be able to be like, you're fucking set for life.
Yeah,
you
don't have to work ever again.
Immediately you can retire. And I'm like, how can this company possibly be worth that much money?
Like, I know these movies are, like, very much not detail-oriented. It's very much just like, yeah, let's just get these two people together sort of thing. But, like, that's the answer I want from this movie out of anything. It's just tell me how much this company sold for. I don't even need to know what the company is. I just want to know how much it was.
Yeah, I want to know how much you think someone can retire on. Like, I know a lot has happened in a couple of years, but, right. It's like,
what if they sell,
bucks. Here you go,
what if
kid.
they, like, capture and deep fry tarantulas? That's the company. That's why the supermarkets are buying them out. There's a surge in demand of deep fried tarantulas.
Hey, this is very
lucrative California.
Look, this is crossing over into knowledge fight, which I know we're not supposed to mention because of Nathan, but, like, you will eat the bugs. Klaus Schwab situation.
Look, they knew bird flu was coming. I was going to get in all the meat. So they're preparing. They're getting tarantulas.
Oh, is that why we have bird flu? So now we're forced. Is this the new conspiracy that we're forced to eat the bugs? And that's why, like, they are putting bird flu in the birds?
I know I already am preparing for, like, we're going to get one freak weirdo on YouTube commenting on this episode that just happens to stumble across it. And he's like,
Can't wait. We're going to get the longest YouTube comment in the world.
Okay, sorry.
Tell
okay,
that
wait. I
girl
just
on the
Googled
podcast.
this movie.
Yeah,
I just Googled this movie, and one of the reviews on IMDb says that Kate makes $150,000 a year, and she lives for free at the cottage.
Yeah.
So why is she such a bitch?
What?
I'm telling you.
Also, how do they know that?
$150,000? What?
I'm gonna go be a fucking farmhand, I guess, at this cottage
Seriously.
with 2 horses and some pigs.
All she does is, like, do two tours a day and then stares wistfully at the mountains.
She also never fixed that downed pole either. Like, Yeah, you know what? I'm on Haley's side. She is a drain on the ranch.
This is why Haley was like, no, fire her. You gotta get rid of her ASAP.
$150,000 a year is a lot as a fucking as someone who
For-
doesn't own the ranch.
She doesn't own the ranch. She's also like, I'm assuming that Archie is working for free at this point, because they keep talking also about how shitty of a ranch hand he is. I'm like, he is day and night doing Kate's job for free. Okay, give this man a break.
Right?
Okay.
Now it makes more sense why they're like, why Haley, when she's doing the math, is like, oh, maybe we have to fire Kate.
They might know. There was a scene where Haley decides that she's gonna actually like do her job and like figure out how to save the ranch, quote unquote, which by the way she fucking sucks because she didn't actually on her own do that, but she's like writing all the expenses up on the whiteboard, so maybe one of those was like,
oh yeah, I forgot. I was trying to like pay attention to that, but I was also watching it on my phone, or I was like, there's no way I'm gonna see any of this.
no.
Can we talk about how the woman that directed this is the producer of a movie called Scare B&B? And how we should probably watch that.
I love it. Yeah,
absolutely.
we definitely have to.
Next week.
She has another Christmas movie called Merry and Gay, and I tried to watch it because it said it was on Tubi, but it wasn't, so now I'm mad.
Oh.
So many lies.
Yeah, I'm being fed lies here. I think Scare B&B the hosts.
Yeah.
There's no info really though.
Cares. No, this is out. This is the first thing she worked on. It just means that like whatever the site is that Letterboxd pulls its info from just doesn't have any information.
Doesn't have it. Okay.
I'll find it.
All right. Well, yeah. All right. Okay. Yeah. So the boss is like, hey, do the cool, sweet, we're great. Fist bumps.
What if that's actually what he did? He just called her and then was like, okay, sweet, and then fist bump. That was the whole meeting.
That pretty much was it. So now we go back to the ranch where we find out that this forever Archie, who we find out is Haley's brother, has been calling and calling and calling and trying to get her on the phone, and she just won't answer because she's too busy, I guess. So he's talking to Meemaw. That's when I knew for sure that this wasn't going to be good. Meemaw.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other thing
just made
too
me think
is
of
that
Angela
like
from 90 Day Fiance. That's what she makes her kids. She always refers to herself as Meemaw. She's the worst person on earth.
Yeah, that's terrible, Meemaw. The other thing that I will say about this movie too is that like I don't remember if they said or if I just forgot where the ranch was, but it's in the country. And then Kate maybe says that she's from somewhere else. They have no accents at all. They're just like no southern accents whatsoever. So just saying Meemaw, I don't know. It just was like weird to me. But she's not answering the phone, and Archie is basically like telling Meemaw like, I don't know, if she doesn't answer the phone and like come help us figure this out, we might have to sell the ranch. And she's just like, no. Okay.
Good answer.
Actually, what she says is even weirder. She says that the ranch made it through the Great Depression and the 80s. They'll make it through this. I was like, what happened to ranches in the 80s?
We survived the AIDS crisis. We'll get through. Like, okay.
I don't know. Yeah. So this is...
Blame Reagan and call it a day, I guess.
Yeah, the Great Depression and the 80s, just like lump those in together. And
too much pastel.
This is when we meet Kate, who is the ranch hand, and she is mad at Haley, even though they've never met. She like specifically says that she's worked on the ranch for 3 years and they've never met, but for some reason she just like fucking hates her. And I'm like, all right, chill out a little bit.
She's like big mad because she's like, it affects Archie so much. Why can't she see that? And it's like,
she has her own life, girl. Like, chill.
Right. Like, she doesn't even go here. Jeez.
So Haley goes to a bar to meet a blind date. The interaction with the like host is fucking weird also. Like all of the side character interactions in this movie are so weird.
I forgot about this dude, and he is the best. Fuck masonry. He's the best part of this movie. I want to know more about this sassy gay fucking
his shoes were really
host.
Cool. Yeah. So
I must have been looking away because I do not remember this.
He's got like 2 lines, and it's like she walks up and he's just like, "Can I help you?" And it's like just that fucking sassy attitude, and he actively like negs her on shit, but like in a not like straight guy negging way. It's very funny. He rocks.
He's like, he could not be more bothered that somebody showed up to make him do his job. You know?
He's like the stereotype of like, he seems like he's just the hostess that's like on his phone the whole time that'll like hold a finger up to tell you to wait while they're like tweeting or some shit.
Mm-hmm. And he had like these slide-on loafers that were like completely covered in rhinestones. Okay, so also like Archie's like trying to call because it's important, and she's just like, I don't have time to talk to you. I'm finally on a date for the first time and whatever. And I was like, yeah, that's the important thing here, not your... Because then when she finally answers, he's like, please don't hang up, it's important. She was like, oh my god, is it Meemaw? Did something happen? And I was like, maybe if you answered your fucking phone, you would know. Your Meemaw could, like, whatever. Okay, so she goes to the bar for a blind date. Her date shows up, and I was like, surprise, it's a woman. And,
It's very shocking in 2021, okay?
I'm sure it was. She is like the most like new agey. She kind of reminded me also of Alexis from Schitt's Creek, the way that they had her inflections, and like she's wearing like a fuzzy thing and like the headband and all that stuff. And she's basically just like way out there, and she's like talking about how her name is Masonry, as we said, which I unironically actually kind of like.
Well, it's good you're not having children then.
Oh, absolutely not. No. Then the other one could be haberdashery. Sounds great.
You have a third, chicanery.
There you go. I love it. So,
all spelled horribly wrong.
Yeah,
so
like masonry's with a C.
But you're not where you expect. It's the first letter.
A C in the beginning. CMACOR. So,
Yeah, the C's silent.
Okay. Her name is Masonry, and Haley's like, oh wow, what an interesting name. She's like, yeah. And she goes on to tell this like story about how she went to like a butterfly naming ceremony where the universe told her to let go of her old name and and that her new name was Masonry. And I was like, okay.
Honestly, that's beautiful.
It.
I would like a crossover that's Masonry and Madison from She-Hulk, the drunk girl that's hanging out with Wong, just like hanging out.
Yes, besties. I love that. And she's basically, so then they just like, they start the small talk or whatever, and Haley asks Masonry what she does, and she says, I exist. And I said, girl, same. I also exist. And so she's like, no, like, what do you do for a job? And she was like, oh, I'm a student. Like, she's a student of the universe. Mm-hmm. They just like have this like bizarre conversation where we actually just find out that Masonry is essentially just like an influencer, and
like the only good one.
She's just like, yeah, I don't like this, I'm gonna go.
Yeah, she says in the nicest way possible, I am not attracted to you and I don't want to go on this date. Well, can I leave?
She's like, will you let me go?
She's like,
honestly, I didn't hate it.
No, she was like, I'm connecting with you on a human level, but not a spiritual level or a physical level. So would you mind? She says, like, could you release me from this experience so that we can move on experiencing our journeys separately or some shit like that? I was like, I'm obsessed. Masonry, okay.
Honestly, like, so cringy, but also, like, do you really want to suffer?
No,
like, I appreciate
why?
that she's just like, actually, no thank you.
Yeah, like, no thanks. See ya. She, like, cleanses herself of the moment. But yeah, she's basically just like, I don't even think you're cute. Like, see ya. She pieces out. My question is, what shit-ass dating site are they using that they matched? They seem like they have nothing in common.
I mean, I have zero experience with like any of these apps, so
I don't either,
I
but
don't know. I gotta.
Yeah,
But
if she didn't think, if Masonry didn't think Haley was attractive, like why would she even swipe?
I assume she
yeah.
thinks she's attractive. I think she's just like, I don't like your personality. Which
yeah,
same.
maybe.
Masonry
Yeah,
deserves better.
honestly, I agree.
Masonry justified.
Yes, Masonry and Archie deserve to be together. That should have been like the twist of the story. Like it should have kept going, and then
It would
they.
have been so funny if this movie that's like very much like publicized as like a lesbian romance just turned into like her and fucking Archie in the middle of it. That's who you start following.
I would be, first of all, I would have hated that I got tricked into it, but I love them so much that I would have come back around
Hear
and been
me
like,
out.
okay.
Masonry and Meemaw.
You know what? Meemaw deserves it. She's had
Yeah.
a tough life, okay? Okay. This is when Haley finally answers the phone, and Archie is like, hey, please don't, could you fucking listen to me for a minute? We need you to come home because we need your help ASAP. And she is kind of a huge bitch to him. But she finally agrees that she's going to come. This is when they reveal to us that Kate is also into girls because she asks Santa to bring her a girlfriend for Christmas. Nice.
So what Santa's here for?
Yeah, duh. Then we find out that there's a fence post that's down at the edge of their property, and Kate was going to go fix it. And she's like, this whole interaction is very strange also, because she's essentially like, I'm going to go like fix this post. And Archie's like, okay, this is my problem. I think that sometimes they extend out the dialogue to make the scene longer when fewer words need to be used to describe it.
It's funny you say that, because I felt like 80% of this movie was just montages with the worst music I've ever heard over them.
Yeah.
That also.
And you know what else? I was reading a Jane Harper book, like, kind of, all weekend, like, while I watched this movie. And all of her books are, like, set in this really harsh, like, Australian outback. And in the book that I was reading, they have to go out and, like, fix fence posts. And it takes, like, 2 days because they have to drive, like, 4 hours or whatever each way to fix the post. And I, like, totally combined them in my head. And I was just thinking, like, oh, where is the brother that got murdered?
Archie, no.
Right. Like, in the book, one of the brothers gets murdered, and whatever, I don't want to spoil it, but there's also, like, a grandma in the book that's helping raise her grandkids and all this stuff, and in my mind, I kind of conflated them.
That's so funny. Well, okay, just justifiable that it takes multiple days to fix a post on your land or whatever.
It would if you're like in the Australian outback and you own like a bajillion acres and there aren't real roads and it's all fucking desert and you can only work for 20 minutes at a time because it's so freaking hot.
This should have taken her literally 2 hours, I would assume.
Yeah, so like,
how big is their ranch?
Yeah, I don't know. So she basically, it's like a fucking like 10-minute conversation of them going back and forth to extract information from each other. But essentially, she's like, I'm going to go look at this fence post, see what we need, and go get the stuff and fix it. I'll camp overnight and then come back. And he's like, essentially like, no, there's a storm coming. Like, go stay at the inn instead. And she's like, okay. But like the dialogue is just like so weird and like stunted in this. Anyways, the only reason that he's like trying to get her to check into this motel is because for some reason the sister, instead of just going straight to the ranch, checks into this motel that's like right next to the ranch also, and that's how they meet. Okay, like this is when like some fucking dude with his son comes and is like saying that they're gonna buy the ranch, and they're like, go on, get. They're mad about it.
Literally, so it's like essentially the dialogue.
Yeah.
Every time he's on screen, though.
Think about why they just needed a plot device for her to stay at the motel because, like, you're right.
No reason.
Unless the motel again is like 4 hours away. But then my question is, well, then how much property do they own?
I don't know. It didn't make a lot of sense to me because essentially, like, Haley comes and checks into the motel. She's talking to the girl at the desk because the girl used to date her brother and now she's married and this, that, and the other, whatever. And then she goes, okay, here you go. I put you in the good room next to the ice machine. Next to the ice machine is where you put your enemies. That is the worst room in a hotel.
Yeah.
And
Whatever.
I have...
So much ice.
No,
Rocks.
I have explicit experience with this because it happened to me earlier this year.
Is that where Kevin was sleeping?
Yep. Okay. So
Well, you have to
at least?
tell us your story about that. You can't just like let that go.
Yeah, where's the rest of this?
Who is
It's
your
not-
enemy that put you here?
I don't know who the
Was
person
it a
was, but
sassy gay
essentially,
bellhop that was like, or like desk person that was just like,
Diamond loafers.
Okay,
I
wait. So in the About page, it says that they live in Nashville. So their ranch can't be that big if they're in the bounds of Nashville, right?
yeah, Nashville's
Wow.
like a big city. That doesn't make any sense.
Nashville is like a real city. It's not like, oh, and the next closest city is Nashville. It says, when a woman and a female ranch hand, when she returns home to Nashville.
all right, dial up Tiffany. Get Tiffany on the phone. We
I
need her
mean,
to
my
drive around and look
great-
for a ranch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask her right now.
My-
Are there ranches? Are there huge ranches
Where's
in
your
Nashville?
Where's your nearest ranch?
Do you ask
in
her if
the
she knows
city
Haley?
limits.
Do you know Haley?
My great uncle lived in Nashville, and I granted this was like in the 90s, so I've been there since. But like my experience in Nashville was like was all city, like.
Right.
But they also like were extremely rich and lived in the same neighborhood as like Brooks for Brooks and Dunn and like Leanne Rhymes and shit. So
I mean, a city's like a ranch for people if you think
yeah,
about it.
that's fair.
Shut up.
It's just a ranch people put buildings on. Like
The buildings are the cows.
you really got Katie with that one. Oh God, you killed her.
Okay, said, are there huge ranches in Nashville? And she said, in the burbs there are. In Franklin, maybe. She's lying. She told me.
I'm gonna look.
Okay.
I'm just gonna Google ranches in Nashville and see what comes up.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so she puts Haley next to the ice machine. Woof. Kate checks into the same motel like moments later, also knows the clerk, and I think that they're trying to make me believe that Kate is like the good-hearted, like cinnamon bun or whatever they call it.
Okay, hold on.
Go ahead.
If we could pull our money together,
Okay.
we can get 141 acres in Franklin, Tennessee, for $5.5 million.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
I mean, considering 15 acres is almost $2 million, that seems like a pretty good deal for
You know I don't know.
way
I don't
more
know how
than
big an acre
I don't
is.
either. But if you go from 15 acres for $2 million to 141 for like 5.5, it's a pretty good upgrade.
Okay, but also, like,
Oh wait, never mind.
They-
Here's 460 acres for 300
No.
or 3 million.
wait, I'm trying to remember. They say the name of they don't live. That's a lie. They don't live in Nashville. They said the name of the town because the girl at the hotel was like talking about like how small of a town it was, and it was called something
I
Springs.
mean, it's probably one of
Nash
those
Springs.
things where like, you know, the
Oh.
small town right next to like a big city is like
yeah.
lumped in, because like that's how like my mom
Anywhere outside of Dallas.
my mom technically is like not in Dayton, but is in like a little small like suburb outside of Dayton, so it's all considered Dayton sort of thing.
Yeah.
Don't
Well.
poke holes in this movie. It's perfect.
Okay, my bad. Okay, so they're trying to like make me believe that Kate is like the cinnamon roll boyfriend of the movie, and she's not, because like the interaction between Haley and the clerk, where they haven't seen each other since high school, and she's like, okay, she's like trying to leave and she's like inching away, whereas Kate's like, hey, how's your husband, how's your family, whatever, and seems like she's caring, but she's not. Like we said, she's like fucking judgmental, and like we find out whatever. Okay, So they are both in their rooms. They check into the dating app and they see each other and they immediately swipe/match. And I guess like the premise of this dating app is just like showing you pictures of the person and then you're like, okay, yes. Because
That's
again,
basically Tinder.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I assumed there was no personality shit involved in them meeting. It was just like, hey, we're both hot.
We're here. Yeah.
Because I'm assuming
we're in the vicinity.
Outside of like the fucking weirdo white dudes that you see get like shared on social media that are just like, you're paying all my bills, you're gonna be my slave type shit. Like, this is like man of the household. Like, those go viral, but like I assume most people are just like, hey, they're cute, swipe. And then they go on their first date and they're like, hey, we have literally nothing in common because I didn't read your interests.
Because a lot of people don't even like put interest. It's just like, hey, I'm here for a good time, not a long time.
I think it's so funny when you see one of those ones that go viral that's just like, what are you looking for? And it's like nothing, or like, you know, like a fling. Also, marriage. Like,
Yeah.
pick one or the other. Or go on Ashley Madison.
Well, I just like watched a documentary.
Is it good?
about
I
that.
want to watch it so bad, and I just keep forgetting to get to it. How is it? Not to interrupt this, but just yes or no. Is it worth watching?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I am so fascinated by that documentary because it's like about like the hack or whatever, where they just like revealed everyone that was on its emails. Oh, so
Yeah,
weird.
because
I gotta watch this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like someone hacked Ashley Madison and got everyone's emails that were on it, or like, you know, their like whatever info you have to use to like sign up for it, and like ruined so many people's lives, all because they wanted to like cheat on their spouses. It rocks.
good. Yeah, good. Yeah. So, what? Oh, okay. They swipe and match on each other. And they're like doing this stupid split screen thing where they're like showing us reacting to the fact that they both like matched, and they immediately start messaging each other and decide to like meet at this bar like immediately. And they're like, "Oh, I never do this. I'm so nervous." Whatever. So they meet and it's like kind of awkward.
Oh, no, okay, before they meet, I liked that Kate puts on eyeliner, like she does eyeliner with a match, and I was like, this is so ranch lesbian. I love it. I'm here for it.
Well, yeah, because like she went into town for a job, right? She's like, I don't even have anything with me or like clothes and stuff. So like, you know,
I don't know how long she planned on going there, but it's wild that she's just like, I didn't really bring anything.
I think just overnight, but like, yeah, I don't know, weird. I also love that they have a stable at the motel because she's like, oh, the lady is like, oh, there's room for Molly in the stable, her horse. And I was like, I love that.
Yes. Also, why didn't she just, again, why wouldn't you just drive to the motel? Like, how is it simultaneously so far away that you need to
I'm the first to admit that I don't understand geography, but like it makes no sense to me. So they meet at the bar. It's like kind of weird because they're both like, I never do this, hee. And Kate lies and says that she is just passing through, that she works at a zoo and that she is going to look at a horse. And Haley's like, oh yeah, cool. I'm like, Haley, you grew up on a ranch.
Zoo's overflowing with horses.
Like, what? I don't know. She believes her. It's like fucking stupid. I forgot to mention that Haley put her name on the dating app as her middle name, which is Joan, and Kate's dating name was Cowgirl. And I'm like, and then you asked what she does, and she's like, oh, I work at a zoo, and you didn't think that was weird?
Yeah.
Why not zookeeper or whatever the fuck?
Zoo girl.
Yeah, like Cowgirl is like pretty specific, whatever. They hit it off kind of like it gets a little easier and they start like flirting or whatever, and it's kind of going well, even though Haley does like a fake milady fedora head tip at her, which is like really fucking cringy.
Rough.
But then as we kind of talked about, it comes to a complete stop because Kate gets a call or I'm sorry, Haley gets a call from work and is like, oh my gosh, I have to handle this. Like, I'm so sorry. It's a social media emergency. And like we said, Kate is like pissed and judgmental that Haley is like caring about social media, which, as we said, again, could have been avoided by just saying, I'm sorry, I have a work emergency. You don't have to like tell people. Social media emergency is like, sounds like a personal thing, which it's not. So it just is fucking stupid.
You could literally just be like, hey, the social media for my work is having some sort of issue. I have to go.
Yeah.
Instead of saying it's
then,
over,
Wait. Can I just tell you that I Googled this movie and it was crowdfunded and they raised $62,000 for this movie.
What?
Great. What did they use it on?
Renting the ranch, I assume.
The 8 actors split the 62.
The Christmas hayride? Yeah, right. Because I will say, this is like one of those movies that I notice, like, because this is like more of a thing now where I notice like the backgrounds in movies, because like a lot of times for like the Hallmark or like the Lifetime ones, they'll like reuse houses, but they're always really elaborate, like beautiful houses where there's like 12 Christmas trees in every single room or whatever to like really show that this woman is like whatever, you know, whatever the case may be. And the last couple of years, I've kind of noticed that the budgets, like kind of like what Nathan was saying, because they're cranking them out so much now, there's like less time and attention spent on them. And I've noticed that the backgrounds look like not great anymore. And I was noticing that about this, like specifically in the beginning, it's like they do have the ranch. So there's stables, there's the actual house that we only really see like the kitchen and the living room of or whatever. And then there's like the horses, the pigs, whatever. But like when they're at the restaurant, it's like this tiny, small, weird looking restaurant. Her apartment is super bland looking. The cottage is cute, but it's like one room. So I'm like, that's why I was kind of like, they very obviously just had access to a ranch and the rest of it was like...
I was going to say, I assume there's probably a thing where they rent like a ranch for like a month and shoot like 4 movies in there.
Yeah,
that are,
probably.
Like, so there's probably not a lot of like... Like the most Christmas shit you get is just like the hayride stuff.
Exactly.
Like there's like a Christmas tree in the ranch or something, but that's like and you know there's like stockings, but that's it.
The cottage felt generous. That felt like one of those little pop-up trailers. Yeah. Like it was not nice. Like it was not like I was thinking like, oh, it's like a cute, cozy like cottage, and it's like, no.
Yeah, no. Yeah, they got her sleeping in a shed.
Yeah, she's rough and tumble cowgirl. She doesn't need anything else.
That's right. Exactly. So the next morning, the only reason I'm bringing up the social media emergency thing again is because they use it again, because the next morning, the Uber, spelled W-B-E-R, the Uber, gets there to pick up Haley, and she's like acting like she has a fucking hangover, even though all she did was like, I guess, stay up all night to deal with beer. Social. Yeah, and she's like, "Oh, sorry, there was an emergency." And he was like, "Oh my gosh, I hope everything's okay." And she was like, "It was a social media emergency." And he was like, "Those exist." And I was like, "Can we stop using the term social media emergency?"
Yes.
Like, let's move on.
I use that every time.
So
Kit posts on Blue Sky.
It's true.
I got a setting on my phone that says social media emergency.
Social media.
Let's see what Warhammer figure Kit posted today.
Love it. So,
okay. Just say a work emergency.
Also, you don't know this fucking guy. You're never gonna see him again. Just be like, "I'm sorry, I slept in. Give me a second." Like, you don't need to overshare with this dude.
No, or mine is always like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just gonna put my headphones in." Like, you just drive. Like, I'm not go. I want to talk.
Don't come to my hotel room and knock, sir.
Yeah.
Anyways,
weird. That would have never happened in real life. The Uber would have sat there for 10 seconds and then canceled the ride. And
the Uber would have like rolled past the motel with the door open and not even stopped. And like, if you didn't jump in, they would have took off. Like, come on.
Maybe that's the difference between Uber and Woober.
And Woober, yeah, that's true. It's door-to-door service.
Yeah.
Okay, so that actually calls into another question about why Haley stayed at the motel. If she was already Ubering from the airport or whatever, I guess maybe there was a shuttle, but I don't know. I still am like, why is she there? Because she didn't even finish the presentation. There's like a montage of her pretending to like walk up to her laptop weird and stuff to like do the presentation, which she doesn't even finish.
She didn't
I don't know.
scream
Anyway,
once like she saw Frankie Franco's head, so like what's the point?
I know. I don't even know. Okay, so she reunites with Meemaw, and they have a weird conversation where she's like, "Oh, you're wearing your special earrings," and she's like, "Yeah, Peepaw gave them to me," and I was like, I think she would know that if she was calling them special earrings, like she knows what they are. Like
Yeah, but
they
didn't know that.
I assumed if that I will tell you this.
Why
I
not
did
just
assume
cut
that there
out?
was a
You could
Peepaw
have
at some
cut out
point.
a line and just be like, "Oh, you're wearing those earrings. Big Peepaw got you."
Peepaw gave you. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Then we could have had more space for the sick music that plays throughout this entire movie.
Oh, the
Exactly.
like Peanuts ripoff music.
Oh my god, it's brutal. It's so bad.
It sounds like the fucking music from Peanuts.
Yeah, I feel like they played that song like 9 times over montages
Look,
of like.
they could only afford.
I mean,
Let me see. 1, 2, 3. They could only afford 5 actors and 1 song.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of a break. I do love the 2 songs that they would play over like Contemplation, where the words were literally sound like they were written for like a lesbian couple. Like
this,
I'm looking over my shoulder and she's there breathing me in, and I was like, oh, okay.
The entire time,
the song was got more action than this movie.
The entire time I was watching this, all I could think about was that this was like the non-insane Christian version of like the Ashley Hayes Wright movies.
Yeah.
Where like
yeah.
there's always 3 scenes in those movies where there's just some sort of like boring ass like 90s Christian music song playing over like montages of like them looking forlornly out the window or whatever. And it was like that's what this kept doing, and I was like, this is just like an Ashley Hayes Wright movie without the Jesus and like a bigger budget.
Yeah, that's fair. So this is so they reunite or whatever. Archie comes in and is like, you know, they are hugging and whatnot. Haley is pissed off because she wants to stay in the cottage, and he's like, no, like you have to stay. I made up your room for her. And she's like, and they mentioned multiple times that Haley has had to go to therapy because of what happened. And I'm like, what happened? Did you like, she's like, you know, I don't want to stay in my room. I've been through therapy, whatever. And like, spoiler alert, the thing that happened was that their parents died in a car accident. And I was like, what are you?
It's so quickly like brushed over too that like they make it feel like it should be this major plot thing. And it's just kind of like, it's mentioned.
Oh yeah, they died in a car accident.
And then like for a reason for her and Kate to like fight over something, I guess.
Yeah, so but like I'm like, why does that mean you don't want to stay in your bedroom? Whatever. Anyways, she's like, no,
she's in her bedroom.
That's what I was wondering too.
What if it's like a Donnie Darko situation? Like,
could have been
car fell out of the sky.
Yeah.
I just assume like it's like by car accident. They bet she just like they plowed a trailer into her room on accident and both of them died.
She survived, and that's why she's
they just accidentally
scarred for life.
Rode 2 horses into the side of her bedroom.
Okay, yeah, so she's pissed because she has to stay in her room instead of the cottage, because Kate's living in the cottage, and Haley is just like literally incensed about this. She's like, what? She lives here too? And I'm like, she's the fucking ranch hand. I think that's pretty normal. Also, also like Lindsey said, calling it a cottage is
generous.
Yeah,
that is extremely generous.
It's a show.
But also, like, normally when you get paid in room and board, like, your salary reflects that. I still don't understand why she's getting $150,000 or whatever.
Yeah, I have no idea. So this is the thing we were talking about so she's just gotten there and they're already having lunch, and the Meemaw is like, okay, I'll make lunch, and what Meemaw makes is like cut up fruit and a plate of bacon.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, okay, which is fine. I love a little snack. I'm a snack girl, okay? But like, yeah, this is when Haley's like, bacon at lunch, and I was like, huh? What a weird thing. That's why I'm saying this is another scene to me that seems like AI generated or something.
I mean, I just assume it's like That's just the only food they had, so they
Also,
had to write a scene around it.
Need I remind you
Hey, I
that,
don't understand bacon.
yeah. Need I remind you that like they've got pigs, so like
Yeah, that's all they
You
eat.
know.
Is just the
it's the pigs.
bacon from the pigs and whatever fruit tree they have in the yard.
And then
Just a
This is my-
bacon and lemons.
yum. Delish. This is another thing that is like such a pet peeve of mine in movies, where they will set up this whole big meal and then they
And
don't
the
even
fruits from
eat.
the pig.
Huh? The what? What the what?
Oh, I think Kid died after he said that.
Okay. Well,
What?
what did you say?
I said something like 20 seconds ago.
Oh, well, Kate,
Yeah.
it came through and Katie was like, wait, what? And then you just didn't respond.
The AI is like,
So what
I'll
if the
show
bacon's
you.
from the? What if the bacon's from the tree and the
Oh,
fruits from the
okay.
pig?
Okay, see, all I heard was from the pig, and I was like, huh? What? And then silence. I was like, AI is saying, I write good movies. Don't fucking even.
Yeah, we talk too much shit about technology,
I'm
and it's
sorry.
betraying us right now. I'm not sorry.
So Archie comes in and is like, bacon, and like eats the bacon or whatever, and they sit down, and Meemaw goes, well, eat up. Haley is eager to get started on things, and he's just like, okay, and then they just stand up and leave,
Oh, yeah.
and they don't eat, and I was like, why? Why set up that you're eating at all? I don't it literally makes me irrationally angry. They just like stand up. Meemaw,
when
cut
I tell you,
all of
I
those
don't even remember
fruit.
the scene happening, and you're so mad about it.
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
either.
Maybe you
It's the
dreamed
bacon.
this.
Huh?
Maybe you dreamed it.
Oh, maybe. Okay, so basically there's like a thing of Haley and Archie going over the finances, and this is when she's looking at it and being like, oh, all the revenue is down. Normally we make a lot of money from the hayride and the revenue's down, whatever. And she's like, what's going on with that? And he's just like, well, why don't you ask Kate? And she's like, oh, well, Kate's the reason that our income's going down, and also her salary is like a huge drain, and she's like going on, and Kate's there and is basically just like, actually it's because the neighbor farm started doing a Christmas hayride also to put us out of business, and it's working. And then they look at each other, and this is where they realize
You're not Joan.
they had met. You're not Joan of Arc. And this whole scene is like really awkward because they pretend like they've never met before, but then they're just like arguing and like bickering in front of Archie, and he's just like, what is happening here?
Can we talk about how shitty this hayride looks?
It's not great. I can see. I question
That's why it's
how-
failing.
Yeah, I question.
All I
how-
could think was like being trapped. First of all, I'm allergic to hay, so
Perfect.
one. But also being trapped on a hayride where everyone is wearing like festive ears and singing is my literal fucking nightmare.
Yeah, no, thank you. Not to like stomp on people having fun, but if I want to, I
No, absolutely to do that. They don't deserve
All
it.
this
If that's
podcast
not
is
fun.
about.
No, that's actually so true. No singing. I enjoy a light show. I would be fine with like, well, because I love horses, so I would love to just go on like a hayride and like look at lights or whatever, but don't sing and clap and like like how many people have worn those ears? You know what I'm saying? That's weird.
The fact that they're singing Jingle Bells while a different song is playing over it was driving me fucking crazy.
It was great. So they're like, they recognize each other, and they're basically like mad at each other for lying, and they're basically just like, well, you said your name was Joan. And she's like, well, you said you worked at a zoo. And she was like, well, there's animals here and people look at them. And I was like, touche. That's fair. But they're basically just like being bitches at each other for whatever. And Haley again keeps bringing up like marketing, like what are you doing to market the hayride? And I'm like, 5 people live in this town. What are you talking about? What, like, why do they need to do marketing or whatever? And Kate storms out. Archie's basically just like, I have no idea what the fuck is going on, but can you just be nice because we need her here to help us? And she's like, okay, just tell her to stay out of my way. And I was like, she's not going out on the open range with you, so just like chill out. Also, maybe go do some fucking work, Kate. You're getting paid, and you're just stomping around inside their family house.
Well, it's bacon,
like,
bacon and fruit time. What's she supposed to do?
Making pancakes. Pancakes. So yeah, okay. So let's see. Haley asks Meemaw she's been going over the books, and she basically is just like, I don't know, I think you should consider selling. And Meemaw is basically just like,
nah.
No. And then she walks away.
Like, you'll figure something out.
Yeah, I mean, Meemaw was like, yeah, I'm not worried about it. She's like, I want also, like, she basically says, like, I'm not going to sell the ranch because everything important in our lives have happened here. Like, I met people here. Your parents got married here. I want you and Archie to inherit the house, the ranch. And I was like, that's kind of like a big thing to just inherit to somebody. Like, if they don't want to run a ranch, I don't know.
Have you asked? Like, exactly. I understand that this obviously, okay, this is like one of those posts on social media that gets all heated when it's like, oh yeah, I have all my fancy china that I'm saving for my children to inherit when I pass. And all the children are like, we live in apartments. Like, we don't
Yeah, you know that's just going to get sold.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like, but you're doing that, but with like a fucking ranch.
With like living animals on it or whatever.
Right? So like maybe you should ask like if they're interested, what they want their inheritance level to be.
Exactly. So so Haley is gonna go on the hayride to, I don't know, check it out or whatever. And Kate is like inviting these other people that paid for the hayride, and she's like, there's hot cocoa in the barn, and Haley's like, wow, hot cocoa, what a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay. And so then she's like, okay, like, let me help you up on the hay ride or whatever. And she's like, I know how to step up on hay. But joke's on her. She doesn't because she falls. And they do that thing where she, like, falls and Kate catches her. But, like, it's not really romantic at all. Because then Haley's just like, actually, I'm going to get Coco. And she, like, leaves. They do the hayride for, like, 20 fucking minutes.
Yes,
we already just...
I kept thinking, okay, now they're like, okay, they see each other's personalities, they're like, now they're in love. Great.
That's what
now
I mean.
We can, like...
This should have been where they like realize they like each other, and then like the conflict is she has to go back to California or New York or wherever the fuck she's at. And like that causes the problem instead of just them fighting the entire fucking movie.
Yeah, because then they do the hayride for 20 minutes. We already described what the hayride is. Haley is basically just like, wow, you did a really good job. The thing that she did was that she added like inflatables to the lights. And but anyways, they're kind of just like trying to show that Kate is actually doing a good job and Haley misjudged her.
I would be I
still
mad
feel like
if I paid
paid
money for this and all it was like 30 feet of like some Christmas lights and then like a snowman.
Yeah. And so she's basically like, oh, yeah, you did a good job. Oh, too bad this is the last year we'll have it. And Kate's like, what are you talking about? And Haley's like, well, like, are you delusional like my brother and Meemaw? Like, we're not going to be able to save this place. And she gets, like, irate. Like, we also don't know, like, why Kate is so, like, obsessed with the ranch and the family. Like, okay, she's worked there for 3 years, sure. She's, like, close with Meemaw, but, like, what? Like, I don't know. It just seems, like, really strange for her to be like, whatever, and she, like, stomps off or whatever, and so Haley's just like, okay, whatever. Finishes her presentation, sends it to her boss. Then there's, like, a music montage of her going through paperwork, which is where she writes, whatever. She's going to get serious about trying to save the ranch now that Kate is pissed off. Like, whatever. Meemaw tells Haley that she needs to bring this hot cocoa that was Peepaw's recipe, and it's Kate's favorite. So you need to go take it to her in the shed so that you guys can like chill out and like be friends or whatever. And she's like, okay. No. Also, she goes out and she like goes to bring it to the cottage, but she does not wear a jacket. It is like sleeting And they're like, haha, city girl. And I was like,
I mean,
she like
as
grew up here. Why would she not be wearing a
look,
jacket?
I still do that shit. So
Oh, I do that too. I
look,
just did a market. I did a market on Saturday where it was 27 degrees, like with the wind chill. And I was all kinds of bundled up and I still froze my ass off. So it doesn't matter.
no,
Yeah.
I'll be like, I gotta take the trash out. I'll just put on like flip flops and like no jacket.
That's fine for a task. But like, I guess my point is like earlier in the movie, they show Haley wearing like a jacket and like a hat inside the house. But then like you're gonna go outside at
I mean,
night during a
I assume
snowstorm.
the idea is just that like, I'll just go walk this over, and like the idea is you're supposed to be like, oh, it got like real bad as she was walking. I got halfway through or some shit. But like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's dumb. They
So
have to have. Like, there's no way you own that much land and don't have like not a four-wheeler, but like a golf cart sort of thing to get
yeah,
across. Like,
if it's that far away too.
if it's gonna
Yeah.
take you like a Lord of the Rings style trip just to go fix this post, like,
Yeah.
I'm assuming you have some sort of way other than the horses to get across this ranch.
I guess not. So she comes, she's like, knock, knock, I'm here with hot cocoa. And Kate lets her in and is like, oh, you're freezing. And is immediately like rubbing her arms and
Immediately
stuff. And
could have
like,
been like,
Yeah.
I
That
could
was
warm you
so
up.
weird. Why wouldn't she just hand her a fucking blanket?
I don't
Why didn't
know.
they start
So
making
then,
out? Like, this whole scene made me so mad because this scene could have been like, this should have been like
The sexy
yes,
turning
the
point.
hot like steamy
yes.
moment for them. And every moment that they just like are like, oh, I could warm you up. Hey, I'll give you something to taste. Nope. Fucking-
No, it was
I'll
both
give you
weirdly
something
like
to taste. Yeah, no, it was like the stalest, like,
it was weirdly like too intimate and like not intimate at all.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah, yeah, because so like she so she comes in and she's like, oh my goodness, and she's like rubbing her arms and she's like, I'm so cold. So then she like puts a blanket around her and then they like drink the cocoa or whatever. And Kate kind of like infers that she thinks it's romantic that like she ran out there wearing no clothes to bring her hot cocoa as like a peace offering or whatever. And the Kate is basically like, well, why, like, maybe you should just like get to know the ranch again and maybe like something will inspire you to like save it or whatever. And then the power goes out and Haley like immediately like freaks the fuck out. She's like, we don't have cell service, we're stranded out here. And I was like, okay, chill. But a generator comes on. They walkie-talkie to the main house and are like, hey, hot mama. Barn babe here. Power's out, but the generator's on and we're fine. And Meemaw's like, okay. Have fun, you
It's a
two.
good Meemaw.
Okay.
So they're basically like, okay, have fun, wink, wink. They don't have fun, by the way. This is when Kate offers, she has made Peepaw's deer stew recipe, and Haley's like, oh man, smells like nostalgic, like I remember or whatever. And she goes, oh, do you want to taste? And I was like, oh my god, here it comes. And then Haley's just like, yeah, and she just like picks up a spoon and tries it. And I was like,
Hot.
okay.
Boo.
So you can taste the tension. And she's like, want a cup? And she's like, yeah.
Deer
and
stew
then
and hot chocolate sounds like a horrendous combination.
Awful.
yeah. Yeah. So they eat a cup of Peepaw's deer stew and kind of get to know each other, which is where we find out that I think she said Kentucky. I don't know. Either way, Kate is from like a rich family and she worked on a ranch that was basically catered to like rich people, and like her mom wanted her to be like a beauty queen thing, and she's
Man,
like,
I zoned out during all of this.
I mean, essentially, it seems like what it boils down to is her and her parents fight over her sexuality, and she leaves. Right? Is that like? I mean, that's what's like on my
No.
assumption, like the insinuation.
No, I don't think that there's anything in the movie that is a strife about her. I don't think so
Oh,
at
that's
all.
what I
I think
thought they
that
were getting at when she talks about like why her and her parents stopped talking.
no, she literally says it's because like she just wanted to be a cowgirl and be like rough and tumble and stuff, and her parents wanted her to be like in the pageant circuit and like cater to all of like the rich people, and she was like, that's not me. I don't like that, so I left, and I haven't bothered to talk to them since.
Well, I took
I
rough
think
and tumble a different way than you did then.
Yeah. And I think that like that is one of the things that I like about it, kind of like what Lindsay was saying in the beginning, is that like there's no like tension in the movie that has anything to do with the fact that they're like in a relationship and they're both women. Like that's not a thing at all on either
That's
sides of
genuinely
them.
why I think they just plugged in like it's
Right.
just
So it's like
another script that they were just like, oh, what if it's two women instead?
right. So like because of that, the chemistry between them feels kind of stale. But I do appreciate that it wasn't actually a thing of her being like, oh yeah, my parents rejected me because I like women. Like she did say like there was a line where she said I would rather like dance with the girls than compete with them or something like that.
Yeah, I
But
think
I don't
that's
think
why, like, in my, because this is another one, like, most of this, I was just like, I don't care, and probably wasn't paying full attention,
no.
but, like, that was, I think I remembered something like that, and that was why, like, in my mind, that was the gist of why they had their,
I
like,
don't think so,
fallout or
but
whatever.
who knows. So so that's the thing. And Haley's like, okay, well, I'm going to go back to the main house. I don't know why Kate wouldn't have just given her a jacket or whatever, but she's like, oh, or you could just like stay here. It'll be fine. So Haley ends up spending the night. It is not romantic at all.
Can I just tell you, this was my favorite note. This whole scene with the bed, I have 1000% pulled this trick. I was like, this is like looking into a mirror.
I assume it worked better for you than in this movie, though.
Depends on when you caught me in my life, because there was definitely, this is like kind of a bummer, but when I first moved to DC, and I was like, you know, severely depressed and like kind of was an alcoholic. I had just gotten out of like my first like real serious like long-term relationship, and I would like basically convince people to stay over and then immediately pass out because I like wasn't used to sleeping in a bed by myself. So I'd be like, oh yeah, this is great. You're here. We're cuddling. And then I would just be out.
Like asleep.
Well, I mean, it worked in that you were wanting to just sleep. So
yeah, but it didn't. It didn't work in that I was like, yeah, you should totally like stay over. No, you don't have to sleep on the couch. Like my bed is so big and comfortable. Yeah.
So that's like
to all the men who fell for that, I'm actually not sorry because
get lost.
But
yeah. So, but this is like kind of a thing where like at first Kate is sleeping on the floor and she's like tossing and turning because like she's sleeping on the floor. And Haley's like, I'm not going to be able to sleep if you're tossing and turning. And I was like, okay, she's like, get up in the bed with me. I'm like, okay, here we go. But then they just start arguing because neither of them wants to sleep against the wall and they can't get comfortable and they're stealing the blankets from each other. And like eventually they finally just fall asleep, kind of like spooning, sort of. And then there's like a song playing when they wake up and they realize that they're both like, again, sort of spooning, but not really. And it's stupid. Because then Archie comes and is like, knock, knock, here's some coffee, woohoo. And he's like, well, nothing to see here, see ya. They're going to go on the ranch and spend the day together on the ranch or whatever. So, okay. This is where, so like, okay, so again, it seems like, okay, well, they've come back around to being like getting along for no reason. They also argue for no reason. The whole thing is just fucking stupid, but they're riding horses. They're having a good time. They find a tree where her grandparents have carved their initials into it in a heart. And then she sees another set, which I assume is her parents because they don't ever actually tell us. but she freaks out and is like, I gotta go. I need to leave. And she immediately leaves Kate just like out there. Like,
Oh, I thought she did say it, or her Archie says it, or
No,
something. I thought somebody
it
said
does
it.
happen at some point, but she just like sees the initials and flees.
yeah. So she goes home, and this is when she starts fighting with Archie about like, you need to sell this place. We're not gonna like, it's just like, I don't belong here, and you need to sell it, and I don't care, I'm leaving or whatever. And I was just like, fucking chill out. Like, oh my gosh. So then she goes out there, and Kate's there, and they get in a fight because this is where they revealed to us that her parents had died in a car accident. And Kate is essentially like, you need to get over it, because like Haley is acting like being home is like too traumatizing for her because her parents died and it reminds me of her parents, which like I get or whatever. But Kate's like, yeah, but good stuff happens here too. Like Meemaw's here, your brother's here, the hayride's here, the bacon's here, you know what I mean? And she's basically just like, she doesn't literally say get over it, but she's kind of like, you need to chill a little bit. And Haley is just like, you know what, fuck you, like, your problem. She basically is saying like, I'm mad at you because you have a chance to call your parents and make up with them and you decide not to, but I can't do that because my parents are dead. And Kate's like, it's not really the same thing. And she's like, yeah, it is. And I was like, no, actually, I'm kind of on with Kate on this end. Like, it's not the same, but it's fine. And so Haley's just like freaking out and immediately calls her like person that works at her office and is like, book me a flight home.
And he's like,
okay,
bitch, there's no big airport near you.
In Nashville?
Yeah, there's no... Nashville doesn't have an airport.
So he's like, I can get you on a flight tomorrow afternoon. She's like, whatever, just send me the info. And I was like, you can't book your own flight? Whatever. The next morning, Meemaw basically... This is the weirdest part of... Okay, I know I've said that a few times, and I'll probably say it again. But this is the weirdest part of the movie to me, because essentially, like, Haley is just so wrapped up in her grief of her parents dying when she was 13 that, like, she is, like, being normal one minute, she sees the carving, and then just, like, immediately freaks out and cannot take it anymore. She gets in that fight, and then she's going to leave. And the next morning, Meemaw is just like, well, and I can't reiterate to you enough that Haley did not do anything to try and save the farm. All she did, the ranch. All she did was, like, go over numbers and was like, the math ain't mathin', you know? Like, you owe this much amount of money. To be fair,
what else is she supposed to do?
Okay, but that's, like, why did they need her to come in the first place?
Yeah, she's not an accountant either, so it's like, I don't understand what, like, the entire point of her... They're just like, hey, you know business as a social media person,
they could have just mailed her all of the spreadsheets or, like, the numbers.
So they're making it seem like she was going to show up and use her, like, social media marketing idea brain to like figure out how to make money, and she doesn't do that. She doesn't even try. She literally doesn't try.
Now Kate and everybody is gonna like understand, like, oh, you know, maybe social media like could be important, and like,
right? No, it doesn't happen.
Haley is here to like drum up some business with a few well placed like Instagram ads. No.
Just a few crabs. That's all it takes.
That is true. We got crabs here. Come on, get them. She doesn't do anything except for say, I think you should sell. She doesn't try anything. And the next morning, Meemaw is just like, I know you tried your best. I still believe in you. We're going to sell. And nobody's mad or upset. It's like they said, we're going to sell a horse. They didn't even try and sell any of the horse. They didn't do a thing. They didn't do a single thing to try and save the ranch. And nobody's upset or sad or anything. They're just like, well, all right, see ya. Come home for Christmas. Like, what?
So this is the other thing. I need to know what... Do they ever say when she's there that she's like, I'll come back for Christmas?
Yeah. She said they had made a comment that they had until the end of the month to stay on the ranch when they were going to sell it. And then she says, like, they have a conversation in this scene where she's going to come back for Christmas and spend the last Christmas on the ranch.
I understand that. What I'm saying is, when is she at the ranch originally that she's coming back for Christmas? Is it still
it's gotta
in
be
December?
just like early December.
What
yeah,
a waste
because they're doing the
of
hayride.
fucking time and money. Hey, I'm here December 9th. I'll be back in like 15 days.
Yeah, exactly. And like, and again, like we said, she sent her presentation to her boss. She doesn't need to be back in work. She just like leaves because she like has a temper tantrum about, like, obviously they mentioned multiple times that she's doing therapy, but like obviously that didn't help because she's flying off the handle.
She needs to go hang out with Masonry and get a new name.
That's right. She needs to, yeah, right.
Let the universe decide.
So yeah, they're just like, okay, no worries. Thanks for coming. See you at Christmas. And I was like, what? This is weird. So she goes back to California and is basically like in her office looking at photos of Kate on her computer. And I was like, where'd you get those? Picturesque photos of her posing in front of the Christmas
Tinder,
tree.
Whatever app.
I guess.
Oh no, does she have a Facebook? Like, if she hates,
I don't know.
She had like
she's so
she has
fucking
to.
judgmental.
Everybody
right, and that was another.
Has to. I have some sort of social media, so there's like at least she's got like an Instagram. It's just like her weird modeling shots.
That like I thought was weird about, because they were trying to make it seem like, well, she is a salt of the earth ranch hand. She's not into laptops and computers and whatnot, but then she's like using a dating app. So I was like, she is though. So like, why are you being? I don't know. Whatever. It makes no sense. Like I said. So
all of the pictures should have been like clearly taken like through the window of her fucking shack.
So she goes up to talk to the boss, and the scene is also really weird because he's just like standing staring out into nothingness, and you're kind of, I don't know, they're trying to make us think that like the pitch didn't go well or something, but he's just like, yeah, we sold it, here's your trillions of dollars. Apparently
here's your check the bank 100% is not gonna cash because it's so much.
Gave her like this check and they're like, yay, woohoo, yippee. And this is when the boss is like, yeah, like, thank God your presentation was really good. It sold, like it worked to sell the company, because the retreat was a bust. And she's like, oh no, like I thought that was a great idea. And he's like, yeah, but like when we got there, it was basically just like a spa and we were pampered the whole time and there was drinking and parties and stuff. Woof. I hate that. I was like, okay.
Didn't do any
and
ayahuasca.
He's like, yeah.
Like,
yeah, no, there was, yeah. And he said that like, he hated the retreat because he wanted to do tough guy stuff like in Brokeback Mountain. I literally, like, I was like writing, I like gasped and looked up when he said that. And I was like,
it would have
okay.
been so funny if he was just like, I didn't get to fuck a single dude while I was there.
No one, not a single guy was down to clown. I'm telling you what. And he's basically, that's the joke, right? We were talking about earlier where she's like, have you seen Brokeback Mountain? He's like, well, just the first part where they're doing rough and tumble and they're best friends. And I was like, well, that's also true of that movie. And she's just like, haha, silly straight man, like whatever. This is where we find out that Masonry happened to be at the retreat and did some like spiritual stuff and did the naming thing. And what a weird like worlds collide thing. And he was like, that was the only part of it that I liked. It was so great. And she's like, oh, like you did a naming ceremony? And he's like, yeah. And the universe told me my name was Eric, which is his name. And he said, I've never felt my own power so much, or something like that. And I was like, you know what? Good for you. So then the boss is just like, yeah, so like if you decide to stay, like let's talk about marketing, whatever. And she's like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, you can do whatever you want with the money. Like you don't have to keep working here. You're set for life. And she's like, oh, I know what I'm using this money for. And she like, okay. So it cuts immediately to like Archie meeting with with like the guys who were going to buy the ranch.
Wait, sorry. So she must have had to have been like one of the first people to work at this company, right? If she's getting that kind of like a startup payout.
Yeah, she did mention in the beginning of the movie that it was a startup. So, and he said that she owned stocks in it. So I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So she's really, that's why she gets so much money.
Sure, but
In theory.
I still feel like how can a social, that's why I'm like, I need to know what their actually physical function is that somebody's buying them for that much money.
I'm telling you, tarantulas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Tarantula farms all over the U.S.
There you go.
The only thing
she
that
does
makes
have
sense.
farm experience.
Yeah. He's right.
Yeah, so Archie's meeting with the people that are buying the bank, and he's like, okay, so we have until the end of the month, like whatever. And they're like, Kate is missing at this point. The other, like the guy who's the son of the guy who's buying the ranch was like really interested in Kate coming to like basically buying her
it's
with
real
the
creepy.
ranch. And so he's like, where's Kate? And Archie's like, oh, she's out setting up for the hayride. And he's like, well, why is she still doing that? And he goes, you can't take our Christmas spirit. I was like, you tell him, Archie. You tell him. So she's setting up for the hayride, and as they're like basically like, okay, well, we just need to go get this like this notarized, and then like you guys have until the end of the month to get out of here or whatever. So they're leaving, and all of a sudden a car comes speeding up the driveway, honking, honking, honking the entire time. Why?
Did you not call?
Okay. Yes. I understand the dramatics of this, but imagine if they had like a notary with them and it was notarized. You're fucking screwed because you didn't want to just fucking call them and say,
I mean,
hey.
I guess technically if she had already settled the debt at the bank before they signed this document, there's probably like legal ways that it's just like the document doesn't matter, but it's like I feel like you would at least like call from
let them know you're
from
coming
the bank to say it's settled or something, like,
or even just call and be like, hey, don't sign anything, I'll be
I'm
there.
a fucking billionaire now, I own the ranch.
Like call immediately when that check is in your hand and be like, anyways, whatever. So
I own every tarantula in America now.
Exactly. I own tarantula. Like
I
own
I
tarantula.
trademarked the word.
As a concept.
Yeah. I am the tarantula mogul now, okay? Yeah. So she pulls up to the house honking, whatever, and she runs up and Masonry is with her. She runs up and grabs the contract and rips it in half and is like, haha, don't think so. And the guy's like, okay, I'll just draw up another contract. It's not a big deal. And she's like, no, I already went to the bank and I paid off the loan. And also, a lawyer will be contacting you. And they're just like,
also, I own your ranch now.
Right. And then she says, Archie's like, they're kind of like, Archie and Meemaw are kind of like, what are you talking about? Like, what's going on? And she's like, I belong here. And I was like, I'm so sorry. Okay, it's very common in these kind of movies for the person to start out grumpy and be like, I don't belong here on this ranch, I'm a city girl, whatever. And then something pivotal happens that like turns everything around, that touches their spirit, the spirit of Christmas engulfs them, and they're like, okay, actually I do belong here with my family. None of that happens. The only thing that happens is that like she happened to have founded a company where she got a bunch of money, and now she's like, okay, I can do the right thing and help save my family ranch. Not what?
Now that I've got a ton of money and this won't in any way be a strain on me, I belong here.
I belong here. It's fine. I can get over it. Like, it makes no sense. So then she tells Archie that I went to the bank, I paid it off, and he's kind of just like, oh, you didn't have to do that. Like, as if she paid the bank $1,000 and not like $1 million, I assume. I have no idea. And he's like, you didn't have to do that. She's like, yeah, I belong here now. I do. So basically, her idea is the reason she brought Masonry is because she's going to turn the ranch into like a retreat for tech bros. And I was like, that sounds fucking terrible.
Wasn't that exactly what Kate didn't want?
Yeah, probably. She does. Yeah, she hates technology. She doesn't want to deal with rich people. So yeah, it is what Kate does. Exactly. And
she still have a job, so be happy. You still have your $150,000 a month job.
Do you think she's gonna ask for a raise?
Probably.
And then so there's like a, like whatever, Masonry's there, and she's like, wow, she loves Archie's energy, and they're totally gonna fall in love, which I love. And also she's friends with Meemaw. They're gonna make a pie together, because a peach pie is her lunar fruit. And I was like, girl, get it. I love it. So then everything's happy. We're all like, woohoo, the ranch is saved. And Haley's like, where's Kate? And Archie's like, oh, she's setting up for the hayride. And she's like, oh, okay. And so she runs off. All of a sudden, it's nighttime now. Kate is like taking people on the hayride. And as she's like on the hayride, she sees the sign that says, this isn't the last Christmas hayride.
There were no people on that hayride this time. It was just Kate.
It's just her doing a hayride.
Okay, also, I'm sorry. That was stolen from Love Actually, and that movie was terrible.
Yeah, I was like, this is not a good idea. So she puts up a sign that says, this isn't the last Christmas hayride or whatever, and Kate's like, oh, intrigued by this sign. She pulls up, and Haley walks out of the barn holding a sign that says, can we try this again, cowgirl? Love, Joan. Kate, I just really need to reiterate to you that Kate has been out on this hayride the entire time that all of the stuff with the contract has been going on, so she doesn't know anything. And so Haley's like, can we try this again? And Kate's like, yes! And she like runs up and they just like kiss, and I was like, why? What is happening here? And so then this is like, Kate doesn't know anything. She doesn't know that she like saved the ranch out of the goodness of her heart and with her billions of dollars, and that she's like rich now, right? But she's just like, oh, yay, everything's fine. Kate is like, oh, I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. Oh, yeah, cool, the ranch is safe. Don't even care. I haven't been able to stop thinking about you. Also, I called my parents, and you're right. It was fine. Then they kiss again. And then it ends. I did appreciate that the end was written in lasso ropes, even though there was no lassoing going on in this movie. But I was like, I was really flabbergasted at this ending. I was like, huh?
It's like Ghost Adventures just ends.
With no explanation. Yeah, they just raw dogged the ending. And I was like, okay, I guess. Good riddance.
Bad movie.
Yeah, it wasn't good. Yeah, I mean, I have seen worse. I think this is like very whatever. It just didn't make any sense.
I mean, this isn't even the worst Christmas movie we've covered, but like it's
True.
still a pretty big letdown.
That's also fair.
It's the most ranch.
That's fair. Yeah, this is the most ranch we've probably done.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. I'd say everybody's just. I say we're all on the same wavelength that this was not good.
Agree.
Yeah.
This movie broke my brain.
It's just Nathan making death sounds.
This needs to be hornier. That's all it is. These movies got to be hornier.
It was so bland. Yeah, it was
all
so
of these
bland.
Christmas movies need to take like a lesson from like the weird straight to Tubi like Deadly MILF style movies and like all that shit, and like
what a film.
Be hornier.
I for once agree with you, and I don't say that lightly. So
I'm going to skip what we watched. We'll do that next episode. Shout outs. Cool. Kit, we want shout outs. It's probably gonna take Kit. Goddamn both of you. Just say blood incantation. I know that's what you want to say.
Yeah, sure, blood incantation.
Katie, what do you want to shout out? Say blood incantation.
Blood incantation.
Yeah. Gang. Shout out Twitter dying, finally.
I will shout out. What is that? I finally started listening to that podcast that Nathan was talking about. This, yeah, and it is really good.
Some of those stories are so fucking weird.
Some of them are like, so like a lot of them are like two-parters, and like the first part will be like explaining the story, and then the second part will be like an interview. And some of those they're hit or miss for me. Some of the interviews are either really good or I'm like, I cannot even comprehend what this person is saying, and I'll like skip it or whatever. But it's so interesting to me because like, let's just take I think this was the first episode, which was Antoine Dodson, which is such a timepiece for me specifically because I know you said you were not familiar with it. I was so familiar with it. Like I remember when the auto tune of the song first came out, and I just think it's so interesting that like the things we take for granted as like a social media like cultural moment, when she has him on to like talk about what was going on around it and like his past and his relationship with his sister, I was like, it was like deeply upsetting and depressing to like listen to him talking about his like life. And it just is like such a good reminder of like this, I don't know, like the stuff that goes on behind things that we take for granted as like a funny moment.
Well, yeah, there's
Because you're right, like in hindsight, like I said, remember all the words to the song, and like in hindsight it's not funny at all. It's like a terrifying thing that happened to them. But the thing that social media did was like literally just auto-tuned it and made it funny. You know what I mean? And it's like, of course I was young when it came out, but it's just like, I don't know.
Yeah,
so
the
interesting
aspect,
to see where we are
aspect of that
culturally.
story is that like that no one ever fucking remembers is that the entire thing was from like someone trying to break in and like sexually assault his sister.
His sister, yeah.
It's like all
And,
of
like,
those stories. I feel like every single story on that podcast is like the internet took this fucking really bleak thing that happened and somehow turned it into a meme.
yeah, and so it is really, really interesting. So I was gonna say, if you're wanting something like a little lighter to listen to, some of them are still really dark, but some of them obviously are
Yeah,
like
there's
lighter.
like the one about like the dude that's just
the
eating
dress.
the fucking like the rotisserie chickens in Philly. I don't know if you've gotten to
Yeah.
that one yet or not, but that one's like, it's just like a dude who just posted on social media that he was going to eat like 30 rotisserie chickens in 30 days. And then it turned into like, I don't know, 50 or something. And then he just had like a fucking watch party where a bunch of people gathered on like a dock in Philly or some shit and watched him eat a rotisserie
and, like,
chicken.
For what?
Yeah.
And I think that like she has a unique look into it because in the episode where she's talking about the red dress, the blue dress like thing, she's talking about how she worked for like a magazine or internet or something that was like essentially BuzzFeed, and it was like her, and then she's like talking to people who were around when that story broke, and it's like, so she is like a unique like, I don't know.
Jamie Loftus
I
is
can't
a
think of the
really
word.
good host. Like, I can't tell you how uninterested I would be in a podcast about the Kathy comics until hers, and it's so fucking fascinating.
So yeah, if you're into like cultural whatever at all, like that's definitely one to get into.
All right, Lindsey, you have something you want to shout out?
Yeah, I want to shout out small businesses because this shit is hard. And sometimes you spend your whole day outside freezing your ass off and you don't make any money. But I'm trying to lean into, in the next couple of years, especially, like supporting small businesses by buying from them with cash, because fuck Amazon and Walmart and Target. And
Seriously.
I know there's like plenty of more nuanced takes about like living in super rural areas and Amazon has like all you can get, or like having a disability and Amazon is like the place where you can get stuff delivered to your house. That's fine. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like curbing impulse purchases and, you know, looking in other stores that employ people in my community before I send my money away to, you know, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's the thing. Like, Caitlin and I both kind of like, I mean, you know, like, granted, I moved here during the pandemic when like Amazon was a much easier thing than just like waiting in line at a fucking store. But we use Amazon so little now that most of the time it's solely for like their organization if there's like a thing they need in like a absolute hurry that we can't get anywhere else. But like,
basically I use it for like the weird filters that my air filter uses that for some reason are like only sold on Amazon. I think that's like the one thing I really use it for.
But that's
about
it. I definitely think more people should stop using big corporations as much as they can because they suck.
Yeah. Really all about like, you know, we live in the capitalist world and we can blah blah blah, but like we do live in the capitalist world, and like in the meantime, I guess we can like use our money to support people we want to support.
Yep, it's a good one.
So yeah, I'm shouting out small businesses.
I'm gonna piggyback on that, but not really. I'm gonna shout out a book I haven't read called Nympho Shark Fuck Frenzy that I assume is very good. That I'm dying to read, but I also don't have $20 to spend on it right now. So
oh my
the
God.
title, incredible, and I have to read it.
Is this a real like printed book?
Yeah, it's 420 pages somehow.
Amazing.
You've got to be fucking kidding me, dude.
I'm reading it ASAP.
Okay.
All right. If you would like to support us, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/IBSufferPodcast. I don't know when this comes out, but sometime around this episode coming out, Katie and I will probably have our Chris Kattan Miss episode out. On some movies we have not picked yet, except Corky Romano, which is a banger.
Okay, well.
The only two people on Earth that actually like that movie are going to be me and Katie. You can follow us on Instagram at IBSufferPodcast. You can follow Kit at Hidden Kitstery and Kitchification of Blood. You can follow Katie at WerewolfFace and join Katie's Patreon at patreon.com/werewolfface. You can listen to my other podcast, AK Movie Club. Lindsay, where do you want people to go to find all the shit you do?
Me? Well, by the time this comes out, it'll probably be too late for holiday bundles because those are coming offline in like a week or two.
This will be like 2 weeks from now, I think.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, then you can still go to From Here to Home Essentials on Instagram and check out my low-waste and eco-friendly goodies.
Yeah, I'll put links in the show notes for
thank you.
All that stuff like I did last time. Yeah, go check out Lindsay's shit. Lindsay does good work.
I try. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for watching this garbage movie that you probably would have watched at some point anyway.
No, this one was really bad. Like,
I feel like you, like anyone that watches these Christmas movies eventually gets to the point they're like, all right, Hallmark's done. What else is on these sites?
Yeah, I've watched the entire Hallmark movie catalog. No, I'm actually not there yet, honestly. I haven't been watching them lately, but I'm going to start.
Yeah. You got to get to the 15-minute KFC one they did.
Oh my God,
fucking
yeah.
Mario Lopez as Colonel Sanders.
You noticed?
my God.
Oh my God.
My
It's so
mom,
good.
Oh my God. So I saw a commercial for a real Hallmark movie the other day, and Richard Christie is in it.
Oh yeah, I remember you sending me a text about that. He's like
I
in a
was-
commercial or
okay.
something in it.
Yes, but he has a cameo in the movie. It just came out. It's like a Chiefs romance that's like loosely inspired by Taylor Swift.
oh,
And I was watching the commercial and I was like, is that fucking Richard Christie? Because he's a huge Chiefs fan. And so now I am like 0 people away from a Hallmark movie because I have met Richard Christie.
there you go.
Right to
It
him,
all
like, hey,
it
can
all
you get
came
me into
to
one of these?
fruition.
Oh yeah, we're doing Rex, a dinosaur story next week.
Yeah.
A banger.
I was like talking to my mom about Christmas. She's like, "Have you watched any Christmas movies?" And at the time I had it. She was like, "Oh, I watched this one that was really cute, and it was about this snowman that comes to life." And I was like,
Hot
Frosty." And she was like, "What? Yeah, how did you know about that?" I was like, "Because it's all over.
Yeah.
Everybody's talking about it, but I can't watch it because I don't have Netflix, and I'm desperate to watch it."
Well, the good thing is, it seems like everyone thinks it's bad, so.
My mom said no. My mom said that it was cute. Okay.
Well, okay. I will say it's currently at a 2.1 rating on Letterboxd.
That sounds perfect.
Which I assume most of them are, but.
Yeah,
That's
I
good.
mean,
Oh, Joe Latruglio's in it. Never mind, I'm in.
No.
Yeah.
Sold.
yeah,
Craig Robertson.
the cast is actually kind of crazy.
Oh, this actually has actors in it. Like,
Yes, it's
actors
yes.
people have heard of.
But unfortunately, I will not be able to watch it unless I can jam somebody's Netflix somehow. But my mom was like, I I can't believe that you've heard of that. And I was like, Mom, you don't know me, okay? Just step aside.
You don't know my life.
Yeah, you just
You
don't
don't know
know
where
what's
I've been.
you don't know what's been going on over here recently, okay? But yeah, so if anyone's seen that, let me know. If anyone has I think
Just
I'm
say if
gonna
anyone
watch.
wants to give you their Netflix sign in.
Well, but
Give Katie a Pirate Bay link.
I have like my like sister-in-law's login, but it does that thing where it's like, you don't live here. This isn't your Netflix, and I'm like, ugh, yes it is. My sister-in-law wants to watch Hot Frosty, okay? Yeah, I'm gonna still like we had looked up a list of other like queer like Christmas movies, and some of the ones that are available, I think I'm still gonna watch. But let me know, Lindsay, if you watch any that are actually worth watching, because I think 95% of them have Jonathan Bennett in it, and that's like not really what I'm looking for, but we'll see.
Okay, I will keep you posted. I watched a pretty funny, I keep getting, of course, like suggested reels about Hot Frosties.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I have to watch it, but like, I don't know, maybe if I like take an edible first, it won't be so bad.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not talking about Hot Frosty next week, so
No.
unfortunately
I
for
will.
Katie.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
text you. I'm gonna text you a recap.
I feel like the Netflix ones seem like no one really likes them, but like they keep putting them
Yeah.
out. Like I feel like the only thing that was like one that people liked was whatever that one where Kurt Russell was Santa Claus, and that's like a whole different thing.
Oh, the Chronicles
I
one.
have no idea.
Yeah.
But I feel like all of the sort of like Hallmark rip-off ones that Netflix gets, everyone seems to be like, this is trash, but they still watch all of them.
I mean, yeah.
Well, they're
you
all
gotta.
trash.
Yeah, you gotta.
All right. I hope you have deer stew and hot chocolate, but why?
Ugh.
I hope you ride face first into love. That's what it should have
Yeah.
been called.
Yeah, face first into love. Trademark I hope you suffer.
You should have said, I hope you get crabs.
Mine was so boring. It was, I hope you have bacon for lunch.
All right, I like that one.